how did we turn one partnership into 14.2 million in new revenue for our company a month and one into 440K? Previously, we showed you the 4-step flow that changed the dynamics of what would happen in this partnership. It was definitely more mutual. It was a stronger co-sell motion, and people were in for a longer term. It was also the right time. But what we haven't told you yet is what we did differently in the 90 days in the kickoff of both partnerships. And fundamentally, we thought we were on track with the 440K, but we did some unconventional things with the 14.2 million that then we replicated as 3 actions that we kick off in every partnership going forward. So for those on the 440K side, the first thing we did with that partner was a pipeline review, which was a total assessment of every opportunity where they could co-sell our product in their current pipeline. We thought this was great. It turns out it was absolutely wrong. And the reason it was wrong is that most people don't want to share what they've got until they prove that you're worth sharing with. So what we did with this partner, because they're an emerging player and it wasn't at such a high level of the company, and we didn't really have a choice, is that we went and found a mammoth. So we said, what is the biggest customer that you haven't been able to close? And in this case, it was a defense department. And we said, well, why don't we focus all of our efforts on this one opportunity, being the defense department? By closing that defense department customer in the first 30 days, all of a sudden, we got a lot of attention out of everyone else at the partner itself. And they were like, wow, you were able to close the unclosable. The big difference here too is we took the lead. We took the lead in aggressive prospecting, swarming the account, and getting the meetings for our partner. That show of being able to hunt showed them that we were worthy of all their other opportunities and the time of their other people in their partnership that are executives who then could put their time in us and see us as a vanguard motion. On the other opportunity though, when we just reviewed pipeline, that was really selfish. We weren't credible and it wasn't really focused. So having this quick win in 30 days became our first action. Every time I launched a partnership from then on, we hunted first and we went for that quick win mammoth opportunity. The one client that they hadn't been able to solve and break through, because it was the ultimate test of our unfair advantage in our joint offer where they faced the most amount of skepticism. That action could get a whole company behind what we were trying to do and get our distribution channel working faster. Let's look at the next 30 days. Now, after looking at the pipeline, our partner over here that we made 440K did a really great thing and said, hey, we've got really strong brand credibility. We need to let our customers know about you. And it's like, okay, sure, what should we do? We spend a lot of time crafting a media release. Hey, we've partnered. This is why we've partnered with this firm. We're proud to be partnering with this firm. Boom. Now, here's the problem with the media release. You can't really talk about your unfair advantage. So although it felt like a tick, it also soon became another cross. It's what everyone else does, but that's why most partnerships really don't generate results. Our counterpart, on the other hand, is then in the next 30 days like, hey, we don't want to do a media release about what we're doing. We want to talk to more customers about the problem that you've already solved with D&D. Wow. So this Department of National Defense, this client that we've already hunted, we want to make our go-to-market approach about the problem, because the problem attracted that big client that you've already closed, not our partnership. And if we can use our channel to talk about the problem, then we could get more attention for our partnership. But the great thing about talking about the problem is we can talk about your unfair advantage as a different way of solving it. So what we did with our counterpart on here and not our partner was build a social object. And how we did that is we did a heavy form content campaign where our partner actually just did 100 client interviews with people that were trying to solve the problem. Now, in this case, they met 100 veterans who were going through transition. They'd never met veterans before. They never understood the space. But that social object itself attracted a huge amount of attention from its other government buyers. Because what you've now got is, we're not worried about us partnering. We're showing you that we've already partnered. We're focused on the problem. We're highlighting our unfair advantage. And we're replicating everything that worked with acquiring that first thing that our team hunted on behalf of our counterpart. Another big win. After that next 30 days, our partner on the left said, hey, we've now announced our partnership. We've got to get you on a speaking tour. And we need to get you on a speaking tour to get our salespeople behind what you're doing and to know that you're real. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I wouldn't sell someone in their behalf by just thinking I should trust the media release or the pipeline review that my boss has done. I want to know who Tom is, and does his team actually, you know, are they credible? And, you know, are my clients excited to see them? And then maybe then I'll do a co-sell process with our joint offer. What we found out really quickly is we did heaps of conferences, and all it led to was our partner looking good, like they were ahead of the curve, and it generated hardly any co-sell opportunities. On the other hand, because our social object was now attracting a whole bunch of inbound inquiries, our customer in the last 90 days said, hey, all we really have to do now for scale is to deal with the naysayers. So how do we get ahead of that? So now you've got your counterpart saying, well, how do we deal with the naysayers? And what we did really, really simply was establish a QBR model with their leadership. So why did that work? Well, by establishing a quarterly business review with our partner, although really seems like common sense, we were able to track the new co-sell pipeline that we were already working and make resource investments into it and improve efficiency. But what it also did was made the leadership that sponsored this counterpart constantly be involved in the day-to-day and winning more accounts and not forgetting our status. That worked way better than a speaking tour, because what would happen is every time we run a quarterly business review, our counterpart and their executives would bring in other executives across the firm to show them what we're up to. And rather than pitch it, we could give them real insights, show our cohesion, and show our mutuality. The big thing that came from this was people adding themselves to our customer advisory group. And as soon as we had a customer advisory group, we had a second social object that said, not only do we care about the problem, we've partnered on it, we're now taking a customer advisory group to take the unfair advantage that's come with this partnership. Our customers are defining how we use that unfair advantage to craft what we do next. Those things led our revenue to skyrocket to $14.2 million in 18 months. Those three actions of focusing on a mammoth deal and not a pipeline review showed that we were hunters. The second action of building a social object around the problem versus talking about our release showed our customers we were market-centric and not centered on ourselves, building a lot of inbound inquiries. And last but not least, having a QBR internally on our new co-sell approach that's working versus a speaking tour allowed us to take on the naysayers by introducing them into our collaborative discussion that we ran every 90 days versus just doing a speaking tour and generating excitement. On the right, those three actions became our model on how we kicked off every partnership. And in the next video, I'm going to teach you by each action how you can do it in the first 30, 60, and 90 days so you can avoid spending 180 hours to make 440K and in like 16 hours, make 14.2 million after you've signed that partnership.